It's time for Pets Who Thrive Radio with Tammy King. Pets Who Thrive Radio covers all areas of animal health and well-being to help you raise and keep a healthy pet. Tammy is a certified animal naturopath with a passion for all animals and empowers pet owners with the latest tools and insight to ensure the healthiest version of your amazing pets. So, let's get into it.
Welcome to today's episode, where we are going to dive a little into what pancreatitis is, how it happens, and ways to treat it. Pancreatitis has truly become an epidemic. So I wanted to dive in a little bit and just kind of get a picture of what is the pancreas, what is pancreatitis, what we can do to prevent it, and maybe even some tips on what to do should your dog be diagnosed with pancreatitis. So first of all, what is the pancreas and what is its function? The pancreas, it is a vital digestive organ that lies on the right side of the abdomen and has two functions. First of all, it produces enzymes, which helps with digesting food, and then it produces hormones such as insulin, which is a hormone that regulates blood sugar. So now, what is pancreatitis? Simply put, pancreatitis is the inflammation of the pancreas. When a dog has pancreatitis, it can be devastating and can be life-threatening. It occurs most often in middle-aged dogs that have been fed a dry kibble diet. There are many reasons for this that we're going to review in today's episode. So there are two types of pancreatitis. You have acute and chronic. So we're going to kind of take a little bit of a look at each one of those. Acute pancreatitis can be a life-threatening emergency. Inflammation creates swelling and congestion in the pancreas. This lowers hormone production and cells may actually die. Some of the symptoms of acute pancreatitis in dogs, you see the dog has abdominal pain, some hunching, super lethargic, restlessness or stretching the body out to decrease pressure on the abdomen after eating. They may have fever, loss of appetite. You may notice some dehydration, diarrhea, vomiting, and even some bloody stool. So all of these are super scary. And if you do see these symptoms, this may necessitate a visit to your vet to stabilize your dog in this condition. Acute pancreatitis can lead to very severe problems like organ failure, kidneys, lung, heart, septic shock, or even death. Now we're going to look at chronic pancreatitis in dogs. Your dog may develop a low-grade, kind of smoldering form of pancreatitis, and it can produce symptoms of intermittent illness like occasional vomiting, colitis, or a lack of appetite. So these dogs may have had pancreatitis at one point, they seem like they're better, and then all of a sudden they get sick. So long-standing chronic pancreatitis can lead to type 1 diabetes or pancreatic insufficiency. This is due to the gradual loss of cells and replacement of scar tissue over time. So what causes pancreatitis? That's probably one of the biggest things that people want to know. And the cause can be so many different things, but ultimately it's related to a compromised immune system and an improper diet. It's also associated with cooked or processed, like dry kibble, rich, fatty meal. When dogs are fed a dry kibble on a regular basis, the cooking process destroys enzymes in the food. This causes the body to steal enzymes from other vital organs, like the heart, the liver, and the kidneys, and other parts of the body, and transport enzymes to the stomach. And doing this over time, enzymes are depleted, and this can cause dysfunction and disease in the organs from which the enzymes were stolen, and in this case, the pancreas. Another common cause of acute pancreatitis can be the dog who grabs things out of the garbage can, or maybe even gets in and eats many things out of the garbage can. Many dogs also end up with acute pancreatitis around the holidays And a lot of it's because they're receiving things like high fat foods, maybe even like, turkey skin at Thanksgiving and Christmas from the table. And the fact that maybe they're stressed, our dogs are so in tune with their owners and any change in schedules or routine, and they can sense the stress. So the combination of the high fat foods with the stress of the holidays is another thing that can cause acute pancreatitis. There are many other things that can trigger acute or chronic pancreatitis. One is trauma, and it can be physical or emotional. An infection anywhere in their body. Certain drugs can also trigger, which there's been some relationship to sulfa antibiotics, seizure medications, and even chemotherapy. And then chronic pesticide exposure is also something that can be related to pancreatitis. So let's take a look at some of the things that we can do to help treat acute and chronic pancreatitis. First of all, we're going to take a look at diet. If your dog has experienced a severe acute pancreatitis attack that required veterinary intervention, once you return home, you'll want to ideally start your dog on a fresh, low-fat diet. Raw, fresh diets contain naturally occurring enzymes, which means that when you feed these foods, you will be replenishing enzymes rather than stealing them from other vital organs and overtaxing the system. Keep in mind that many of the veterinarian recommended diets contain many fillers and byproducts that create even more stress on the body. And the other thing to keep in mind with veterinary recommended diets is they're only designed to be given for a short period of time until the body gets better, and then you can go back to feeding a more healthy diet. I kind of liken it to when you're sick, you might have chicken noodle soup for a few days till you get back on your feet, and then you're going to go back to your normal diet. The fat percentage that you're looking to not exceed would be no more than around 6 to 7%. So some of my favorite foods that kind of fit the bill for dogs that have pancreatitis, My Perfect Pet, it's a human-grade, lightly cooked food similar to home-cooked food. However, it is complete and balanced with everything that your dog would need. All of the formulas that they produce are going to fit within that low-fat range. They have several different options like chicken, beef, lamb, salmon, and some other kind of specific to, like low phosphorus, things that might be good for kidney dogs as well when a dog has been diagnosed with pancreatitis. A low-fat raw diet is another really good one. And a lot of that's because it has all of its moisture in place. And with a raw diet, you're going to be giving your dog an amazing amount of enzymes, again, so that it's not depleting enzymes from other organs. And some of the ones that seem to really kind of fit the bill regarding the low-fat raw diet. So we have been introduced to a veterinary formulated product that is actually amazing. It was produced by a veterinarian who, when he went into practice, realized he was recommending a lot of these veterinary formulated foods, and the ingredient panel just did not fit the bill regarding quality. So what he did is he created his own food, but used whole foods. For example, for his joint formula, let's just say, he actually has green lip mussels, turkey necks, eggshell membrane, things that really can help the joints. But the main thing is they also produced a food that is called low fat, and it is specifically designed for dogs that have suffered from pancreatitis. It's super easy to digest, and again, super low fat. There are many other options, of course, for food, but these are just some of the ones that I have seen over time that have been really good for those dogs that are recovering from pancreatitis. Okay, so we need to take a quick break here. Hang on. We'll be right back. This is Pets Who Thrive Radio.
Pets Who Thrive Radio is online at petswhothriveradio.com. Our YouTube, Facebook, Insta, and TikTok are all Pets Who Thrive Radio.
Is your pet slowing down or struggling with stiff joints, injury, or hip discomfort? GoGo Pets has your solution. Our fast-acting joint spray is crafted with natural plant-based herbal ingredients that help reduce inflammation to get your dog, cat, or horse moving again. Pair together with our gentle inflammatory relief shampoo to soothe sore muscles and discomfort for maintaining pet joint health to support long-term health needs. GoGo Pets is a veterinarian-recommended and endorsed brand, proudly made in the USA. Visit gogopets.com, where tradition meets innovation for the ultimate in pet care.
Tired of throwing money at ads that don't work? At the brand influencers we don't guess, we strategize. From social media that actually converts to ad campaigns that drive real leads, we help businesses grow with purpose. Let's stop wasting budget and start building results. Visit thebrandinfluencers.com and see how smart marketing feels. The Brand Influencers, where strategy meets impact.
Sure, I'm a little rough and tough. Somebody's gotta be. I like the outdoors, camping, boating, riding in your truck with my head out the window. Yeah, I'll poop outside. Doesn't everyone?
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt.
Now, back to Pets Who Thrive Radio with Tammy King.
Welcome back to Pets Who Thrive Radio. I'm Tammy King. Let's get right back into our discussion. Pancreatitis, how it happens, and ways to treat it. Let's look at supplements. For a dog that is not experiencing life-threatening symptoms, you can start supplementing a product made by Flora Health called Flora Essence. It is a gentle detox that will help with active pancreatitis and can be used long-term as a preventative. Amber Naturals, they also are a wonderful premium herbal company that has several supplements that have helped many dogs with pancreatitis. Again, they have a kind of formula that they have used that has worked really well. And we can give you more information if that's something that you would like to learn about. And there's also several different homeopathic remedies that have helped many dogs kind of get through the initial symptoms that are really scary, that vomiting and diarrhea that is, seems like it's just completely out of control. And I'll just give you a couple of them. There's several that could help. The two most common are Arsenicum album and Nux vomica. And again, we can help you with those if that's something you want more information about. The other thing that you can do if you're looking for a homeopathic vet, for instance, like Dr. Todd Cooney, he's someone that I interview quite often. He can be of assistance as well. And then pancreas glandular. That has also been something that has helped dogs with pancreatitis. And the science behind this is that when you feed glands that correspond to the gland that is weak, it will help support it. So if you feed pancreas, you're going to help nourish the pancreas. When you feed kidney, if a dog has kidney dysfunction, you're going to nourish the kidneys. And enzyme therapy. I cannot say enough about the importance of adding enzymes for those dogs that have suffered from pancreatitis, since that is what they are most lacking. And if you think about what pancreatitis is, it's the result of many things, including enzyme deficiency. And just to give you an idea how important enzymes are, some of the things and some of the bodily functions that they help with include being able to properly digest foods when dogs have allergic reactions, joint discomfort, vaccination reactions, itchy skin and ears, if you have a dog with yeast or a yeast infection, bladder infections, hot spots. The other thing that's really interesting is it reduces the healing time from injury, surgery, and the recovery time from anesthesia. So again, enzyme therapy is huge. And it's not just for pancreatitis, but it's for every single bodily function working more efficiently. So how do you prevent pancreatitis? Again, this is just a quick overview. There are things that you can dive in a little deeper on each of these, but I just want to kind of give you kind of a simple formula to follow here. So there's many variables that can be involved in pancreatitis. And so it's impossible to make any guarantees about how to prevent it. But some of the factors that you do have within your control are that you can feed a fresh, low-fat diet rich in enzymes. You can give appropriate supplements. Again, this includes digestive enzymes, prebiotics and probiotics, omega-3s, and the supplements that I mentioned earlier. Make sure your dog gets plenty of regular exercise and adequate rest. Maintain a healthy weight. This is actually something that is near and dear to my heart, and I am really big on trying to keep dogs on the lean side. I think a lot of times we're so used to seeing dogs that are chunky or overweight, and that's become the norm. But the leaner, the better. Obviously, you don't want to see their ribs or anything like that, but that's just going to help them with everything from, staying healthy. Their immune system's going to work better. Their joints aren't going to suffer. So keeping them lean is a big part of also preventing pancreatitis. Don't over-vaccinate. Vaccines are a major factor in autoimmune and inflammatory conditions. So the more we vaccinate, the more possibility that we are creating that autoimmune response, which could then lead to so many things happening, and one of them being pancreatitis. And then pay attention to things that may signal a problem, such as changes in their appetite, what their stool looks like, their behavior, and their energy level. And of course, if you ever have any questions, you can reach out to a holistic practitioner or a holistic veterinarian. But in general, you've got some tools now for giving you something that if it should happen, maybe some things you can have at home. And even if you're on your way to the veterinarian, you could administer some of those products like the homeopathic arsenicum album to keep their stomach in better condition so that they're not so sick on the way to the vet. Again, it is something that's it can be very serious. And I do want to reiterate that there is a time that you need to just get the dog to the emergency vet or to your vet and manage those symptoms, get them over that hump. And then we can help you with all the things that are related to getting them back on track and working to prevent it from continuing to happen over and over. So hopefully you learned some nuggets today regarding pancreatitis. And if you should have any questions at all, you can always reach out to us at petswhothriveradio.com. Before I move on to our second topic today, I'd like to congratulate our Pets Who Thrive Radio July e-newsletter winner. Her name is Barbara S. Barbara is the winner of a Soda Pup Summer Prize Pack featuring a sunflower shallow feeder bowl, a Sun and Sea lick mat, and a nylon turtle toy. Congratulations, Barbara S. Every month we have a possum giveaway in our Pets Who Thrive Radio e-newsletter featuring lots of great pet stories, healthy tips, pet pics, and more. So why not take a short walk over to petswhothriveradio.com and subscribe? I'm Tammy King, and I'll be right back.
More Pets Who Thrive Radio is coming up next.
Your pet's joints work hard every day, so give them the support they need with bone and joint ointment from Go-Go Pets. Formulated with natural plant-based herbal ingredients, this soothing balm helps acute injuries of the joints and muscles, ease discomfort, reduce inflammation, and support mobility. Perfect for aging pets or active ones with injuries that need a little extra care. Go-Go Pets is a veterinarian recommended and endorsed brand, proudly made in the USA. Visit gogopets.com, where tradition meets innovation for the ultimate in pet care.
At Leader Dogs for the Blind, we believe in the power of independence and mobility. We're here to help those who need it most. Our services are provided free of charge to our clients because we believe that lack of funds should never stand in the way of living a fulfilling life. Picture this: guide dogs providing confidence and safety, orientation and mobility training reintroducing individuals to the world around them, and teens experiencing unforgettable adventures at our summer camp. It's all possible because of our generous supporters. We want to extend a heartfelt thank you to our individual donors, Lions Clubs, corporate partners, and foundations. With your help, we provide over 1 million days of independence each year. Together, we're changing lives and creating a world where everyone has the chance to lead an independent life. Join us on this incredible journey. Visit leaderdog.org today to learn how you can make a difference.
They call me Prince like I'm royalty or something. But the places I've lived ain't no palaces. So I don't need grilled salmon or a new scratching post. Just give me a cardboard box and a can of tuna and we're good. You can even change my name. I'm cool being the kitty formerly known as Prince.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt.
Now, back to Pets Who Thrive Radio.
Welcome back to Pets Who Thrive Radio. I'm Tammy King. Let's move on to our second topic today. We are going to be looking at a few different types of arthritis, along with some natural solutions for treating it. So first, let's define arthritis. Arthritis, what are the different types? It is painful joint inflammation. There are more than 100 different varieties of arthritis. The most common are osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and gout. It can also include lupus, psoriatic arthritis, fibromyalgia, ankylosing spondylitis, and others. Here's how to identify the most typical forms of arthritis. Osteoarthritis is the wear and tear joint pain that many of us experience as we age. It tends to affect big joints like hips and knees and develops over time from injury and overuse. Cartilage around a specific joint wears down and bone spurs may grow. Except for pain in the joint, you don't feel sick or have associated fatigue. Swelling and redness may or may not be present. Rheumatoid arthritis is very different. With this chronic inflammatory autoimmune disorder, the body mistakenly attacks itself. Small joints in the hands and feet are usually affected first. The synovial membrane that lines the joints becomes inflamed, painful, and swollen. Bone erosion and joint deformity can eventually result. Such deformity usually does not occur in osteoarthritis. Flare-ups often occur during which joints are more painful and inflamed, and systemic symptoms such as fever and fatigue may be present. Joints are usually affected symmetrically, whereas osteoarthritis joint damage is typically more one-sided. The illness tends to strike women 3 times more often than men, and to come on more suddenly at an earlier age than osteoarthritis, like 30s to 50s. Rheumatoid arthritis is less common in dogs. However, it can affect small and toy breeds such as miniature poodles, Shetland sheepdogs, and the Nova Scotia duck-tolling retriever, but it can also affect greyhounds. Causes of arthritis. First of all, chronic inflammation. every chronic disease is essentially an inflammatory condition. These conditions include allergies, autoimmune disease, diabetes, cancer, dementia, heart disease, and arthritis. What is inflammation? Basically, it's the body's response to injury, irritation, or infection. This inflammatory response is needed to help the body repair injuries or clean up toxins. In this sense, inflammation is beneficial. However, it can wreak havoc when it turns into chronic, long-term state. Chronic inflammation creates a constant supply of free radicals, which ultimately damage the DNA. Free radicals damage the body's cells, and this damage turns into oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is what leads to the aging process and is also what causes all diseases. Leaky gut. Leaky gut has become a widespread condition in both animals and humans. While awareness of leaky gut is slowly increasing, there has been slow acceptance in the medical community, which is concerning as the gut is responsible for more than 70% of the immune system function. The delicate intestinal mucosa, which lines the gut, can be likened to cheesecloth, which should act as a barrier. In leaky gut, the cloth junctions have been stretched or damaged to the point where they are no longer able to filter out larger food particles, bacteria, and toxins. These particles then pass through the intestinal wall and make their way into the bloodstream, which sets off a series of events in the body. This triggers the immune system to fight the invaders, and it can be detrimental. For example, if the invaders are proteins that the animal has eaten, now the body is building antibodies against those proteins. All this battling leads to chronic inflammation and distress, symptoms which are often labeled as allergies or arthritis. The aging process. We share a lot in common with our canine companions. Sometimes this means we also share some of the same health issues. Joint and hip problems are among them. In fact, osteoarthritis affects up to 15 million dogs in America, most over 8 years old, with canine hip dysplasia being one of the most common degenerative joint conditions. As dogs age, the cartilage between the knees and in the hips breaks down. This releases joint fluid and potentially creates inflammatory damage to the structure of the joints, as well as a great deal of pain. You may notice this in the way your dog slows down toward the end of a walk or lays down, gingerly, gets up slowly, reluctant to jump or to climb stairs. They may hesitate prior to doing anything that requires effort and activity, even if they look like they're ready to play. If any of this sounds familiar, there are ways of relieving your dog's pain without the need for potentially dangerous prescription steroid drugs or even common NSAIDs, non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Your dog may currently be taking glucosamine. Maybe that's been working and you want something additional to back it up. Or maybe you've noticed it's no longer effective and your vet is recommending Remedies, another NSAID that can cause liver damage, vomiting, diarrhea, fatigue, and ulcers. Fortunately, you can avoid that step. Let's take a little deeper look into NSAIDs. Non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, or NSAIDs, are the most commonly used drugs in the world, both prescription and over-the-counter. Many people reach for NSAIDs as a first choice when it comes to relieving their pets or themselves of any pain. While many people believe these medications are very safe and effective, recent statistics suggest otherwise. In the U.S. alone, NSAIDs cause 120,000 hospitalizations per year at an average cost of $15,000 to $20,000 each, which totals $2 billion per year. 16,500 deaths per year directly related to prescription-only NSAIDs. The number would be much higher if it included deaths from over-the-counter use. Gastrointestinal, GI, or other complications in 2%, which equals 1.2 million of the 60 million Americans who use NSAIDs regularly. The most common cause of death from NSAIDs is GI bleeding, with liver and/or kidney failure the next most common. Similar stats are not available for dogs. However, with so many calls to poison control centers and visits to emergency clinics, directly related to NSAID ingestion, both intentional and accidental, it's hard to believe that dogs are not affected. There are currently about 20 different NSAIDs labeled as pain meds for dogs. They're made by various pharmaceutical companies, and all of them warn of potential major side effects. That alone should be cause for concern. The FDA has also issued warnings about NSAID use, which include, but are not limited to, the following. Many NSAIDs become trapped in the stomach and are also slightly acidic, so they directly irritate the stomach lining. NSAIDs should be used cautiously in animals that may already have liver disease. For a dog starting on an NSAID for long-term use for osteoarthritis, it's good to closely monitor his or her liver function by checking blood work during the early stages, because most NSAID-associated liver damage occurs within the first 3 weeks. Because NSAIDs prevent the production of prostaglandins or block some prostaglandin activity, these drugs can reduce blood flow to the kidneys, possibly causing kidney damage and leading to sudden onset kidney failure. So, why not NSAIDs? There are many good reasons to avoid them. Yes, these drugs may decrease pain in the short term. On the other hand, they block the normal ability of the body to heal and repair soft tissues like muscle, tendons, and ligaments, and bones. For example, the Rotterdam study released in 2005 showed increased joint damage in humans over time. Participants were 3 times more affected compared to those not using NSAIDs. Another found a 50% increase in hip replacements in people using NSAIDs for 2 years or more. A third study found that those using NSAIDs were at risk for an acceleration of articular cartilage breakdown. Okay, so we need to take a quick break here. Hang on. We'll be right back. This is Pets Who Thrive Radio.
Pets Who Thrive Radio with Tammy King.
Pain doesn't have to be part of your pet's life. At GoGo Pets, we are a natural plant-based herbal solution for your pet's joint relief. Try our joint spray for targeted mobility, injury, and joint support, combined with our inflammatory relief shampoo to calm aches and pains. Gentle, effective, and safe for everyday use. GoGo Pets is a veterinarian-recommended and endorsed brand, proudly made in the USA. Visit gogopets.com, where tradition meets innovation for the ultimate in pet care.
You've got a business worth talking about. Let's make sure the right people hear it. At the Brand Influencers, we turn your message into momentum with scroll-stopping social media, radio ads that pop, and branding that makes you impossible to ignore. Don't just exist. Influence. Start now at thebrandinfluencers.com. The Brand Influencers. Make your brand unforgettable.
Now, back to Pets Who Thrive Radio with Tammy King.
Welcome back to Pets Who Thrive Radio. I'm Tammy King. Let's get right back into our discussion. Arthritis, along with some natural solutions for treating it. So how can we help alleviate our dog's pain and inflammation associated with arthritis in a way that is safer and effective? First of all, I can't talk about inflammation without talking about food. It is so important to feed a species-appropriate diet. So my recommendation is to start with a fresh raw diet. Raw diets are naturally anti-inflammatory. They don't contain hardly any starch and contain all the ingredients a dog or cat needs to nourish their body, like meat, organ, and bones. This is truly a very important part of reducing inflammation in our pets. When a dog is fed a dry processed food day in and day out, it is the equivalent of us eating processed food for every single meal. If we ate this way, our bodies would be in a constant state of chronic inflammation as well. CBD oil. I cannot say enough about CBD oil for pets. First of all, what is CBD? CBD is short for cannabidiol, which is one of the 100 natural compounds, also known as cannabinoids, found in the hemp plant. CBD for dogs has been found to naturally promote calmness, support hip and joint health, boost the immune system, support a healthy digestive system, and much more. How does CBD work in your dog's body? Humans and animals alike all have an endocannabinoid system, or in other words, ECS. When CBD oil is consumed, it activates your dog's ECS. The ECS then creates a two-way communication system between the brain and other systems in your pet's body, such as the nervous system, immune system, digestive system, and more. This is why you may hear about CBD helping out in so many different areas of the body. Something else about CBD oil that is very important is that you choose a full spectrum oil. Many people only recognize CBD. However, there are many other beneficial cannabinoids, including CBD, in a full spectrum oil. One of my favorite brands that we use quite a bit at my store is Pet Relief. They own their own organic crop. They are third-party tested and are NASC certified. What is NASC? The National Animal Supplement Council is a nonprofit industry group dedicated to protecting and enhancing the health of companion animals and horses throughout the United States. They have a very rigorous certification process that you have to undergo as a supplement company in order to achieve their label. Glucosamine and chondroitin supplements. Glucosamine and chondroitin protect cells called chondrocytes, which help maintain cartilage structure. In theory, these supplements have the potential to slow cartilage deterioration in the joints and to reduce pain in the process. There are many glucosamine supplements available. One that I've seen wonderful results with over the years is made by Liquid Health called Canine Glucosamine. Along with glucosamine and chondroitin, it also contains MSM. MSM is a potent anti-inflammatory commonly used to treat osteoarthritis, rheumatoid arthritis, and tendinitis. Since canine glucosamine is also in liquid form, it is absorbed quicker into the body than tablets, offering faster results. Another one is called Myristin. Myristin Canine Joint Formula is a natural nutritional supplement. It's a combination of cetyl myristoyl and glucosamine sulfate, which work together with other joint nutrients to create optimum joint health. Myristin Canine Formula is used to repair and reduce dysplasia and other joint problems. What is cetyl myristoyl? And why is it important? Also known as CMO, cetyl myristoyl is an immune system regulator that promotes recovery from joint injury, so joint repair, creates synovial fluid that lubricates the joints, reduces joint pain and inflammation, regulates immune response for optimum joint recovery. It's been used by vets for canine joint problems since 1996. It's a safe alternative to NSAIDs. And there is a shellfish-free glucosamine joint supplement that I also have seen really good results with. And it is made by Wapiti. And it's called Mobility. Mobility is a natural blend of elk velvet antler and traditional herbs. It is formulated to support positive joint function as well as help maintain joint mobility for dogs. It also supports connective tissue health, provides joint support, maintain joint mobility, helps support a healthy immune system and normal blood cell health, helps support normal stamina and endurance, for healthy bones and surrounding tissues, supports normal function and health of the kidneys and liver. Essential fatty acids. Essential fatty acids are very important for dogs, especially for those that are suffering from chronic inflammation like arthritis. Many pet parents give their pets fish oil. Unfortunately, some fish oils can oxidize easily. Phytoplankton is a wonderful alternative. Phytoplankton is a whole food that contains essential fatty acids along with many other minerals and antioxidants. Herbs. Herbs for inflammation and tissue support. For example, one that I use for my own dogs and recommend for many of my clients is called Inflapotion by Glacier Peak Holistics. It helps with general aches and pains, inflammation, minor injuries, overexertion associated with working dogs. Its counterpart is Herbaprin, which can be given on those days when dogs overdo it and they seem to be a little stiff or in pain. Botanicals like curcumin and boswellia start reducing inflammation right away and help decrease pain. But it can take time to be most effective, but also, again, certainly safer than an NSAID, which, again, like we talked about, can cause GI damage to dogs and to people. Homeopathic remedies. These are 7 different homeopathic remedies that have been known to help with easing joint pain. Rest-Tox. This remedy can help painful strains, sprains, and other joint conditions. Stiffness is very characteristic. Restlessness is also common. The pain is worse from initial motion, like rising up from the ground, but better from continued motion, like walking or changing positions. Complaints are worse after rest, from cold and from weather changes, especially a change to cold, damp weather. And complaints are better from heat. Arnica. This is the major first aid remedy, the one to consider after any injury, blow, or bruising. It can also help sore, sprained, strained, overused muscles. The person often says, "I'm fine," and or asked to be left alone when they are clearly not well and need emergency medical attention after an injury or an accident. They are probably in a state of shock from the injury, and this remedy can help in such cases. The affected area feels worse from touch, pressure, or motion. Bryonia. Joint pains are severe, sharp stitching or tearing. The pain is worse from the slightest motion, so the person wants to keep perfectly still. They feel better from rest, pressure, lying on the painful side, tight bandaging or bracing, and warmth on the affected area. The person is often irritable, preferring to be left alone. Hypericum. This is often the first choice for injuries to nerve-rich areas such as the fingers, toes, and spine. Pains are sharp and tend to shoot upward along the spine or from the site of the injury. The pain may seem out of proportion to the severity of the injury. This remedy can also be useful for puncture wounds, animal bites, and burns. Symphytum. This is useful for trauma to bony areas. It's known to help broken bones to knit and heal. Some people use it routinely for fractures, but only after a bone is set. It can also be useful for pain that remains at the site of older fractures or other injuries to hard tissue. Bellus perennis. This can be indicated for sprains and traumas with much soreness, especially when there's bruising similar to the way arnica is used. However, injuries calling for bellus may be in deeper tissues and may exhibit more swelling. The injured area feels worse from touch and warmth, but better from motion and rubbing. Bellus can also be helpful for old back strains and repetitive strains like gardeners or manual laborers. It is especially indicated for injuries or surgeries of the breast, abdomen, or pelvis. Rue de Grave. This remedy has an affinity for action on tendons, ligaments, and cartilage. That's why sprains are a common injury helped by ruta, especially of the ankle, wrist, knee, or spine. A lame feeling in the joint is typical with stiffness and a feeling of bruised soreness. The area is better from heat, wrapping, and gentle motion, worse from cold and exertion. Those needing ruta may be restless and frequently change their position, similar to Rest-Tox. Ruta can help inflammation of tendons from overuse, repetitive use, sprains that fail to heal, and bone bruises. How to dose these remedies is just as important as choosing the correct one. Last but not least, address gut health. As mentioned earlier, all chronic diseases can point to inflammation and leaky gut. Adored Beast has put together a wonderful leaky gut protocol. The leaky gut protocol addresses the root causes of leaky gut and helps support healing. I hope that you found this episode helpful. For any of you that would like to learn more about anything mentioned here, you can reach out to me via my website at petswhothriveradio.com. Well, that's going to do it for today's program. I want to say thank you to our great sponsors. Thank you to all the radio stations coast to coast for playing the show. And thank you to you for listening. I'm Tammy King, and this is Pets Who Thrive Radio.
Thanks for listening to Pets Who Thrive Radio with Tammy King. For more information about today's program, we're online at petswhothriveradio.com, and a podcast version is available as well. Simply search Pets Who Thrive Radio. Our YouTube, Facebook, Insta, and TikTok are all Pets Who Thrive Radio.